All right, guys, good morning. Happy race day. Happy Sunday. It's Andrew here with Fast Cars, Fast Money. We're talking about the Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. NASCAR's back. They were off last weekend, so it feels good to be making some content and being in front of the camera again. Iowa is kind of a short track. We are running the short track package. It's 350 laps. So being 350 laps, it is going to be relatively a higher scoring slate. We do have a two race sample size. The Cup Series right here in 2024 and 2025. We have lots of practice data to look at as well too, which is always nice. So when we get to the driver by driver breakdown, we got Hamlin, Bell, Blaney, and Byron up here. Um, the JGR cars, specifically Hamlin and Briscoe, had some brake issues in practice. It's a little bit of a concern. Hopefully they're able to figure that out and it'll be better for the race. But because of that, they're starting a little bit deeper than probably they should be. But really, how we want to attack today, I think you really want to focus more on lap leaders. So, the clear lap leader in terms of projections is going to be Ryan Blaney. Blaney won this race in 2024. He finished fourth here last year, so really strong here in general. He starts on the pole, and if we look at practice, he was the quickest on every single lap average from the 5 lap all the way to the 30 laps, and he backed it up in qualifying, putting it on pole position. So likely he's going to be very high owned, but if everything goes according to plan, the path for him to just completely lead a ton of laps is very much in play. The other guys I like pairing with Blaney if you're going with kind of a single lap leader type of build, or potentially some hybrid options that could advance and maybe run fast laps, or if they get up front, could lead some laps. I think Christopher Bell and William Byron make a lot of sense. So Byron, he's the other race winner here. He won this race in 2025 and he actually finished second here in 2024. So average finish of 1.5 is pretty good. He didn't have the same pace as Christopher Bell in practice, but he wasn't really that far off. He's a little bit cheaper, had a pretty good long run car. Gives you some place differential upside starting 19th. Christopher Bell would be that other hybrid, place differential lap leader type of play. He was second fastest in practice behind Blaney. He was P2 across the 10 through 30 lap averages. Didn't have the qualifying results, but offers good PD upside. So I really like building some combination of Bell, Blaney, and Byron to start. Hamlin's okay too. He's just expensive. And like I said, I view him as a little bit more of a place differential play. And with the brake issues, I want to be a little bit underweight on Hamlin. We got Larson, Logano, Briscoe, and Elliott in this next range. Chase Briscoe is pretty much the same thing as Denny Hamlin. Again, those brake issues, I'm just a little concerned about that. So, I'll still have some ownership to him, but I'm not going crazy by any means. I'll probably have the most amount of ownership to Joey Logano. So he won at North Wilkesboro, which is the same short track package that we're running today here at Iowa. Has the track position to be a lap leader, was really strong in practice with top 5 speeds across the 5, 10, and 15 lap averages. And he has a 7.5 place average finish here as well, too. Larson's kind of that tournament lap leader, contrarian play. Me personally, I'm just going to lean on Team Penske today. But if you're looking for a guy who, could potentially upset the Penske lap leaders, I think Larson makes some sense there. He just really has struggled with his finishes, and Hendrick in general isn't running that great. Elliott starts deep, but he hit the wall in practice, and that is certainly cause for concern. These next gen cars are very sensitive. Typically when we see cars get damaged in practice or qualifying, they usually do not run that well in the race. So even though he starts really deep, I think there's cheaper place differential options that you can get into your lines. Reddick getting down to the 8K range. I typically stay away from Tyler Reddick at the short tracks. Decent practice times, good track position, but I just have a hard time seeing Reddick, go out front, lead laps, run fast laps, maintain this position. I'd much rather play Ty Gibbs that starts right next to him. So no, Gibbs does not have great track history here, but in general, 2026 has been a very strong year for him, especially at these short tracks. He ran very well at North Wilkesboro, probably was going to be in contention to win that race until he got penalized. He was fourth at both Martinsville and Phoenix, and then he won at Bristol earlier this year. So I really like the price tag, only $8,200. I think he is a really strong tournament play. Bubba Wallace, I'd rather go to Wallace, honestly, than, Elliott, Briscoe, even Hamlin to a certain extent. He's an average finish of 11.5 here. Pretty good. Top 10 in the practice averages. Pretty good. So it's a good place differential upside play for the price tag. I don't think you really need to pay up for place differential today. But again, if you are, I'd try to prioritize those hybrid type of PD lap leading upside plays that I think Bell and Byron, could provide. Keselowski, I don't really want to touch. He wrecked the car on the second lap of the qualifying. So because of that, he is scored from fourth place, but is going to have to start in the back. So really, really just uphill battle for him to climb all day. Don't really want to go there in DFS. Hocevar and Busher, I like. Hocevar has an 11th place average finish here over the two races. His practice times were around 15th, so he should be able to stay on the lead lap, contend for a good finish. He's also the highest scoring Chevy in points right now, above all of the Hendrick cars. So, he's really having a strong year. I like him a lot for tournaments. Busher, he's okay, not as good of an average place finish as Hocevar over these two races, but his practice times were similar to Hocevar's, and he gives you a little bit more place differential upside. He's $200 cheaper. So I really like Hocevar and Busher for tournaments. Now, Bowman's interesting. If you look at his average finish, very encouraging. He has a 7.5 average finish looking at 2024 and 2025. But just not really having a great year. He starts deep, offers decent place differential upside. His practice times are around 20th, so a little bit more of a cash games play. I wish the speed was there like we saw in 2024 and 2025, but we'll still have some ownership. But honestly, for me, playing tournaments, I'm really gonna play, between the hosts of ours, the Bushers, the Bowmans, the Priestes, like I'd much rather play Cindric Chastain and Josh Berry. They're all solid tournament options. For Cindric specifically, Penske's really good on the short tracks. He was top 5 in the 5 and 10 lap averages. Good price. His teammates all had great pace. You can make the same argument for Josh Berry. Josh Berry has a 10th place finish here, looking at 2024 and 2025. Also really strong in practice. Chastain, no, is not having a great year, but if you look at practice, it was really good. He was top 10 or 5, depending on what lap average you were looking at for every single practice metric. So good track position like Cindric should be able to keep his position and run well. So I really like getting to the Cindrics, the Chastains, the Berries. I think you can get them for slightly lower ownership than some of the place differential plays they're priced around. So one of those place differential plays is going to be Ryan Preece. On paper, yes, he looks like a really good play. He starts deep. He's typically good on the short tracks, but for whatever reason, this team just was very slow in practice, did not unload well. Very similar to Cole Custer, who's a lot cheaper, who we'll also talk about. But this team's going to need some major adjustments or just a lot of chaos in the race to really advance their position. So I'm very concerned for those reasons. But he starts so deep, it's almost impossible for him not to score you points. So I understand going there as well, too. Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, very similar plays, just qualified too far forward for me. Daniel Suarez was kind of surprising. I think he's a really good cheap place differential option, kind of like Bubba Wallace, but much cheaper. Kind of an unusual qualifying result from Suarez this weekend. The 17 in general has been running much better than 33rd. And if you look at practice, it really suggests that he should be able to move forward. 17th place average finish here over the two races is encouraging. SVG, his practice times are okay. He did run very good at North Wilkesboro, which is a plus for him. So what I've noticed with SVG, when he gets the track position, when he starts up front, he typically runs well. But if he doesn't start near the front, he really struggles to move his way throughout the field and usually doesn't get as good of a result. So with how strong he was at North Wilkesboro, I am slightly interested, but the practice times and where he qualified today is definitely, reason for concern. Michael McDowell, Zane Smith, kind of the same thing with Austin Dillon and Eric Jones. They just qualified too far forward for me. John Hunter Nemechek and Todd Gilliland, I'll talk about them together. Now, I'm really relying on practice times here, hoping that the practice pace they had carries over into the race pace. But John Hunter Nemechek was top 10 across all the averages in practice. A lot of the other DFS plays priced around him cannot say that. Todd Gilliland was pretty much the same thing as John Hunter Nemechek. He's even cheaper. He was top three or top five if you look at the 5, 10, and 15 lap averages. So both these guys have track position. They have good practice times. I think they should be able to stay on the lead lap. I don't really know how much ownership they're going to get, so I like them for tournaments. AJ Allmendinger, Riley Herbst just didn't really have that much pace in practice. Kind of start around where I think they're going to run and finish. Connor Zilic, same thing as the other guys we talked about, kind of out qualified where I think he can run. Austin Hill, kind of throw him in with AJ and Riley Herbst. I think he kind of runs around where he starts. Stenhouse and Gregson, another two plays that I think out qualified for where they're going to run. And then we get down here to the very bottom of the slates. You got Ty Dillon, Cole Custer, and Cody Ware. So if you are kind of stacking the lap leaders or stacking the Bells, the Byrons, the Blaneys, the Logano's up there, depending on how many of them you get, you might have to come down here. Ty Dillon, if you need a cheap punt play, I really don't mind going here. He starts deep. His practice times are pretty encouraging in the 20s for a driver priced this low, and you really don't need much from him. You can make the same argument with Cody Ware. Same idea as Ty Dillon. Decent practice times as well, too. Just starts 4 spots further back, so that's an additional 4 place differential plays and potentially an extra $200 that might allow you to upgrade one of your plays up top. Cole Custer, yes, he starts DFL, but same thing with Ryan Preece, just really struggled with pace all weekend long. So this team's going to need some major adjustments. So that's going to be it for the Cup Series video at Iowa. Thank you guys. As always, I know I'm not always the most consistent with getting these videos out. Family life has just been a whirlwind in a good way, but appreciate all the support. If you guys want more of these videos, let me know. I will certainly try my best to get them out. You can also get the spreadsheet yourself over on X. It's at FastCarsFM. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy building lines. Enjoy watching the race. And good luck today.